but just like what we spoke about, it's all about desire. Got to have a want to get this thing done here this year. Nice work, Johnson. Nice work. 48 is the fastest thing out there.
The leader, the 48. 48 to the leader? Yes.
Jimmy Johnson takes the lead with the bumping run.
Jimmy Johnson, domination continues at Martinsville.
This is his house, and we know that.
The 48 is way better than us. Hell of a race car.
48 the best on the track.
Jimmy Johnson, it's dominated.
Jimmy Johnson, a class in the field.
That's a good victory celebration, my friend. Unbelievable. Hey, I'll see you at victory later.
It's a different track, a different weekend, but the question still remains, can anyone catch Jimmy Johnson? He won in Charlotte for his third win of the 2009 chase. He returns to Martinsville, having won 5 of the last 6 races here. It's the only short track in the chase, and Martinsville is one of NASCAR's original tracks. It may be the smallest on the circuit, but it's big on history. Welcome, race fans, to the Commonwealth of Virginia and the Martinsville Speedway for race number 6 in the chase.
Where are all the people at? I don't see nobody.
What a great crowd here in Martinsville. These Virginia race fans know how to get it done. Welcome, everyone, to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. I'm John Roberts. He's Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer, and he is race car driver Kenna Wallace. Let's take a look at the standings at the halfway point of the 2009 chase. Here's some quick numbers for you to go with your standings. There are 17 wins at this racetrack, among the top 4 in points. Here's the good news for the chasers. The biggest deficit overcome in 5 races in the chase has been 146 points. Here's the bad news. It's Jimmy Johnson who did it.
Well, but you know what? We saw a big change last week. We saw the 5-car struggle. We saw the 42-car struggle. These guys here from 7th on back, they're out of it. But yet Ryan Newman is still trying to get to this top 5. He sat on the pole. He unseated Jeff Gordon. Think about that one. But you know what I'm going to talk about? I want to talk about Jimmy Johnson. I'm going to tell you why. Johnny said it. 6 of the last 7 races. This guy's on a roll. The 48 car, in 14 races, he has 14 straight top 10 finishes here. But you know what? The 5 car, he's not out of this thing, Mark Martin. He's won here. How about the 14 car, Tony Stewart? We know he ran 3rd here in the spring. He hasn't lost here before. He's won, and also the 24 car.
It spends 161 points. That's what you can make up in a race, Kenny. And when you talk about double file restart, shootout style, somebody can lose a lot of points in a hurry here in the short track.
There are 5 races to go to decide who's going to win this Sprint Cup champion. And here we are for the first time ever in the history at Martinsville, double file restarts, meaning the leader will pick his groove. Does the leader want the front row inside or the front row outside? Now, what I'm concerned about, if we have a late race caution, and let's say the guy, whoever's running second, now he has to go to the front row outside, so on and so forth, all the way to back. Will the double file restarts here at Martinsville, will that decide the champion? It's going to be incredible. It's going to be total chaos today.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm leading that race, man, I'm going to be the one that's going to take the inside spot here at Martinsville. But someone may disagree with that throughout the course of the day, and it's probably going to happen. Now for more, let's head inside this small racetrack that's basically 2 drag strips and a couple of U-turns. And what is that? That's a ping pong ball?
It's a bouncy ball.
A bouncy ball, Wendy?
It's very cheap entertainment in Martinsville for 50 cents out of the vending machine. This is what is really making the crew guys smile this weekend, just having some fun, because here we are, 5 races to go in this season. Now, if I can put this in terms and set the scene for you fans at home, the season started much like when you started your school season. You go to school, everybody's happy, smiling, everyone's saying hello, greeting each other, how you doing? Well, when it gets to be about May and everyone's really tired of the school season, you have forced smiles from these guys. You have sometimes fake conversations and some aggravation by these crew members. Some of these guys want to get through this 2009 season, while others that are in that hunt for the championship are waiting to get past these 5 races to see what they can do. Now, what throws into that? Hey, we're at our first short track of the chase for the championship and our last short track for 2009. There's only one short track in this chase, and it's right here at Martinsville. It's our last one of the season. A lot of beating and banging happens at this racetrack. We know how it can get here at Martinsville. But what can we take out of our control? Well, the beating and banging, you never know what's going to happen at this racetrack in the spring. We saw a lot of it happen. Take some of those chase contenders and put them into the picture. You never know what is going to happen today. Things are out of your control at this racetrack. But one thing that these guys really could not control at all was the weather this weekend. And yesterday we had a lot of rain, which meant limited practice session for these guys. For more on that, let's head over to my dear friend, Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Wendy. And on a typical weekend here at Martinsville, you would get a practice before qualifying on Friday, do qualifying, and have 2 practice sessions on Saturday. Well, rain completely washed out practice yesterday. These cars have not been on the racetrack since qualifying. Now that question is, what drivers and teams looked ahead at the weather and said, hey, we better get prepared on Friday because we may not practice on Saturday. Let's look at the top 5 guys in points. This is how many laps they ran in practice on Friday. Who's leading that charge? None other than Jimmy Johnson. He ran 72 laps. What does that mean? Number 1, they knew the rain was coming. And number 2, he must have felt pretty good about his race car to stay out there and make some longer runs. So Jimmy Johnson has more laps on the racetrack so far than anybody else. Another thing about Martinsville, we talk about a short track, great racing, great finishes. Looking back at some of the great finishes we've had back in 2007, look at the 24 and the 48 battling for a win here at Martinsville. These 2 guys are 2 of the best at this racetrack. They beat and banged for the last 50 laps. Jimmy Johnson went on to victory. Look back here in the spring. Look at Jimmy Johnson getting in the corner, knocking Denny Hamlin out the way. Beep, beep, I'm gone. He goes to the front, wins again. Jimmy Johnson will have to have some more of that today, beating his way to the front because he starts 15th. And one more piece of news, JR. I just spoke with John Darby in the NASCAR hauler. We will have a competition caution today at lap 50. Since there was no practice yesterday for these guys, lap 50, there will be a competition caution. JR?
Hermie, thanks a lot. Had a little bit of tire trouble with the truck series yesterday, so I'm sure that's what they're looking at. Now, we said earlier in the program, Jimmy Johnson won 5 of the last 6 races here. The only other guy to win over that course of 6 races was, of course, Denny Hamlin. And you saw him beating and banging up there. But what is the difference, guys, from the driver's seat with no practice?
Well, I think that you got to go back on past experience. And I think one of the best at this racetrack of all time is Jeff Gordon. You look at Jeff Gordon's record, 33 races, 7 wins, and an average of 6.8, Kenny. He's starting 2nd. There's no question in my mind, as good as Jeff has been running, I think he's had 9 second-place finishes. He's tired of finishing 2nd. He's going to try to win this race today, establish that he's still a factor in his chase.
I think consistent success. In other words, if you're going to be good for 10 years, you have to have a really good team. Chad Knaus's decision yesterday or Friday to go ahead and say, hey, look, we're not going to really worry about qualifying. Why? Because I really think, it's like going to Vegas, I really think it's going to rain all day. So Jimmy Johnson runs the most laps in practice. Some of the other guys, maybe they didn't need as many laps to figure out if their car was good. But I got to tell you something, leadership is big in this sport. Crew chief driver relationship is huge, and it's paying off right now for Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus.
Well, coming up on today's short track version and championship version of NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot, we'll talk to the chasers, the chasees, and if you've ever wondered who in the garage area is annoying more people than Jimmy Spencer, well, we'll have that answer for you coming up on Race Day.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. Visit HomeDepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Brought to you in part by Camping World's Destination Recreation Sweepstakes. Log on to campingworld.com/racing. This is the last week to enter for weekly giveaways. This week, win one of 5 Honda generators. And by the Ford F-150. It's not just a pickup truck, it's a Ford F-150.
NASCAR racing since 1948. These fans know where to come when they want to see short track beating and banging. But the question is, can anyone derail Jimmy Johnson's quest for an unprecedented 4th championship in a row? Some of the best drivers in the business this year are in the chase, but none of them can really do much about Jimmy Johnson right now. Kasey Kahne is one of those chasers who has improved greatly since a difficult start to this chase. And Hermie Sadler, Kasey Kahne's had all kinds of strange, different questions coming at him throughout the chase, but now we can finally ask him about his team picking up the performance.
Well, they really have been strong in this chase. And Kasey, we looked at that graphic. Every race when you finished, you know, no engine trouble and no crashing, you guys have been top 5. I mean, what's been the difference in the chase so far?
Yeah, we were like that right before the chase as well, and even those races that we didn't finish in, that we had problems in, we were top 5, top 10 car there too. So it's been nice to have a fast Budweiser Dodge, to have a great team behind us, and things have been up and down engine-wise and team-wise throughout the year. But my engine last week at Charlotte was probably the best engine I've had all season, and which is probably the best engine I've ever had in the Cup car because of just how things keep getting, improving. But I think the guys are doing a great job.
Let's talk about this racetrack, a very difficult racetrack to get around, hard to pass here. Grip will be at a premium today, and you've got to pass some cars to get to the front. How'd you crawl for today?
Well, we did all race practice on Friday, so we didn't qualify very well. I screwed up both laps, I thought. I just kind of messed the corners up, but the car was really good in race practice. Messed with it for an hour with things that made it better and worse, and kind of have a good balance for today. And the rubber on the track here changes the track a ton. So as the rubber goes down, as long as we can keep up with it, I think we should hopefully have another top 10 car and maybe race with Jimmy Johnson. Who knows? He's tough to beat here, but hopefully somebody can beat him today.
And last two quick questions. If you're leading the race, 15 laps to go, we get a caution for double foul restart, you taking the inside or the outside? It changes every week.
It changes, and in this place, the rubber will come off the track. When you're under caution, the tires pick the rubber up. So I would think the inside is going to be the place to be on restarts. But you never know. You can get held down on the outside, and somebody can clear you there too. But in the past, I would say the inside's the spot to be.
And last question. You're not going to win the championship this year, but you're up close and personal watching all these guys. Can anybody beat that 48 for these next 5 races?
Well, I think it'll be interesting. I think, if something happens to the 48, there's a lot of guys that can jump on that and be right there. If they keep doing what they've been doing, then he'll have 4 straight championships, and next year everybody will have to aim to beat the 48.
And this is coming from a guy, one of the few guys that we've seen pass the 48 car under green. He did it last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Wendy?
And that doesn't happen very often, people passing the 48 car. But a guy that was passing a lot last week at Charlotte was rookie Joey Logano, 5th place finish at Lowe's last week. Now, Joey, you've been that top finishing rookie 22 times this season. I mean, your confidence has got to be growing every week. When you come out and finish 5th like that, it's got to feel good.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer every week to where we need to be with this Farm Bureau Toyota. I feel like today we got a good car. We're starting 7th. We didn't get to practice yesterday, but nobody did. But I wish I got to try a couple things that I wanted to try as a driver, and a lot of things that the team wanted to try. But I guess that's the same for everybody, so we'll have to see.
Now, your experience coming into the Cup Series was mostly at short tracks. Does that necessarily mean you're going to excel at the short tracks on the Cup Series? What are your thoughts on this place?
Oh, well, the thing is, 95% of the drivers out here is where they grew up, so it's all kind of an equal playing field here. So it's fun coming to short tracks, so it's neat that we get to do different types of racing. Last week was 1.5 miles. This week's a short track. Next week, a super speedway. So it's cool that we get to do a whole bunch of different things. I think that's kind of makes it a lot of fun for us.
Now, in the spring, not the greatest finish, 32nd, but today you're starting 7th, which gives you that great starting spot. How important is that track position going to be today at Martinsville?
It's huge. Last time qualifying got rained out, so it's starting to back. We weren't good in points then, and this is definitely going to help. Track position is really, really big here, probably bigger here than anywhere else, and that's key to be up there. And we just try to stay up there all day, keep the fenders on it. Try to keep your brakes cool. Keep the beads from blowing out like we had issues last year from that. So we'll work on that all day, and be there at the end. That's the biggest deal.
Now, what about getting around these guys? Did you learn much in the spring about passing? It's very difficult to pass here. We know about that. Between trying to keep your brakes cool, trying to get around guys in traffic, how much is going on in your head during that time?
A lot, believe me. A whole bunch is going on there. Like I said, you're trying to take care of your car, but at the same time, you're trying to get up through the field. And if you get stuck in the back, it's not many laps before the leader's there. Such a small racetrack. So, like I said, track position's key, and being so hard to pass, it makes it even a bigger deal.
All right, good luck to Joey Logano, who's definitely been improving every time we return. I'll get the words out, Spencer, I know. We return to these tracks on the Cup circuit.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that out, Wendell.
Yeah, thanks.
The thing is, I disagree with Joey. I think the hardest track for track position is road courses. But talking about Joey, what a great improvement this guy has done with Zipadelli as the leader. You think about you start this season as a rookie. These rookies in the past used to test, and more test. That guy hasn't got any tests. None of the Cup teams have tested. So where this guy has progressed, last week to Charlotte, to watch him race, 4-time champ Jeff Gordon was absolutely an enjoyment for me. I says, this kid has progressed very, very well. So, Kenny, all things considered, when you look at Joey and how he's progressed very quietly, not upset the apple cart, made a lot of mistakes, but he's learned from them. He's done really well.
And one thing I have to admit, we were his worst critics early in the year. We said, oh, he is.
I agree.
They put him here too early. He's going to fail. Well, I'm going to tell you what, we all were wrong. They put him here because Tony Stewart went to another team. So look, Joey Logano, this is a show where we tell you when we were wrong, we were wrong. You're going to be a great one. You're going to win some championships. Good job.
And you know the other quick thing, look at this guy, Casey Kane. That was one of the best interviews I've ever seen Casey Kane do. Truthful, honest, and you know the bottom line is if the 48 has some problems, there's going to be a bunch of guys can jump on him. If the 48
That's a pretty big if.
But Casey did beat him, but that was pretty cool, and Casey will be a factor next year. There's no question about it.
As NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot rolls on, we have yet another burning question for you. Who in the garage area takes fewer vacation days than Jimmy Spencer? We'll have the answer to that question and more when we come back.
The big story is the four-peat on the horizon, and we're heading back to chat with the man calling the shots. Wendy reconnects with the 48's puppet master to see what's pulling his strings.
I know that I work really hard, and I work hard because I want to be successful. I want to be successful in this industry. I want to be successful as a leader to my guys. And when I go to the racetrack, I don't go there to play. I don't go for a picnic. It's not what it's about. It's there to race.
Stay tuned. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Welcome back to Martinsville, everyone. The only short track stop in the 2009 Chase for the Sprint Cup Championship. We want to play a little audience participation right here. And as we flash back to the April 09 race, guys, take a wild guess. Who won that race?
I don't know. Somebody's won 5 out of the last 6 races.
I think it was a Chevy driver.
Really?
Yeah.
I have no idea. No, it's Jimmy Johnson. Let's take it back to the last time we raced here. And again, a dominating performance by Jimmy Johnson.
Track has hosted NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races every year since the division's inception in 1949.
Green flag goes in the air, and Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch going to race down to turn number 1.
Turn really good to the middle on cold tires. Now as I get going here, it stops turning. Still real good though. Sort of getting low planes of center, Mike. Having to check up, use the brake a little bit before gas on exit. 10-4, I'm watching the brakes. Everything looks good.
Hanging on each other. The patience for the moment has been checked at the door.
I have to let him go here, because if he touches me again, I'm going to freaking knock his head off. I don't know what I need. I suck. I can't get up the corner.
Trouble turn 4, getting turned around. Kyle Busch is smoking it. Johnson to the inside of Hamlin. He bangs it, and Jimmy Johnson takes the lead with the bump and run in turn 3.
Great job. I know you're mad, but be smart about this. You just saw you, Martin.
The Hendrick domination continues at Martinsville Speedway as Jimmy Johnson wins.
Hey, JJ, thank you, man. Got a boss. 5 years, and you're the man.
And Jimmy Johnson is the dominant one here when we come to Martinsville Speedway. He's won 5 out of the last 6 races at Martinsville. I think that's a lot to be said about Jimmy Johnson and this 48 crew. Now he comes into Martinsville with the largest point lead with 5 races to go that he's ever had. 90 points is what Jimmy Johnson has. Well, who's that force behind Jimmy Johnson? It's his crew chief, Chad Knaus. Here's part 2 of this week's Real Deal with Chad Knaus.
The Chad Knaus-led 48 team does it again here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. You know what? He really works his guys hard, but in the end, it sure pays off.
Doesn't the end justify the means as far as being demanding equals championships?
It does, and it again, that's when I first started, that's how I justified my actions. I always said, look guys, we're going to go out and we're going to do everything we can, and we're going to work as hard as we can, as many hours as we can, so at the end of the year we get the championship, and that'll be your reward. But I've learned that that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. As much as everybody wants to win championships, and as much as everybody wants to win races, they have to get satisfaction outside of the race shop as well. So you have to learn to balance that whole thing.
The cockiness that Chad Knaus walks through the garage area with, you can't take that away from him. And it puts a mental edge over every competitor in that garage area. That's why that team is so strong, Kenny. It is tough.
I've known you for a long time, and I'm going to be upfront with you. But it seems like a lot of the guys in the garage might perceive you as overly confident or even cocky sometimes.
Sure.
What do you think about the way people in the garage perceive you, or do you even care about that?
First off, I really don't care. You know, I'll be honest. I think that if, you know, you can call it cocky, you can call it confident, you can call it whatever you want. When I go to the racetrack, I don't go there to play. I don't go for a picnic. It's not what it's about. It's there to race. And, you know, people take that the wrong way because I don't stop and talk and have conversations, and I don't go out to dinner and do things like that. I go to the racetrack and I worry about the 48 car. And then I go to my motor coach and I work and I go to bed, and I get up in the morning, I do the same thing. I think the people that think that I'm overly cocky probably don't really understand me or know me as well enough to even say that, I guess I should say. So there.
Wow,
You know,
that's weak.
One thing I want to throw out there real quick. Juan,
that was weak.
Juan is awesome. There's no doubt about it. I like Juan a lot. I think he's a fantastic race car driver, but he's got a hell of a crew chief.
I know at the racetrack, you're really intense. As you said, you're not there to play, you're there to do a job. But even on your Monday show on Twin, I mean, you've let your personality show a little bit more, that you can have fun at the right time.
Okay, I made the wrong call.
So you think that
I
happened?
love it, fans. It's not me now today. It's Michael.
No, but it really is, and there's a bunch of reasons. Okay, and I think it's helped me. I think being on Twin, I think has helped me a lot. It's helped people, I think, understand me better, understand that I do enjoy myself. I do go on vacations. I do things that
normal
people do. Right, I really am. I enjoy all that stuff. I think doing those TV shows kind of puts that out there and lets everybody realize I'm pretty normal.
Pretty human.
Yeah.
You can let your guard down.
Sure.
When the time's right.
Well, there's a time and a place for everything.
Absolutely.
And I enjoy having fun just like everybody else, I promise you.
Let me see that hat.
Hey,
That's
yeah.
a good hat,
This
man.
is
a nice hat here.
I wore that for you
Look at this,
morning.
man.
Now
That's you
he
right
did it.
there. That is
That is
man.
styling. I like that a lot. It's you.
Make sure you get this. Hey, make sure you get this to tape.
But when it comes to what we do here in this building, this is the most important thing to me in the world.
All right, your driver had some fun with something that I have to show you, and you have to explain this to me because I'm trying to figure this out. What is this?
I have no idea.
I found it on eBay. No, I didn't.
Oh, God, my driver.
Your team is killing you, aren't they?
Yeah, they love it. They love it. And you know, I get made fun of all the time, and I love it. It's fun. I can handle it, you know, between whether it's Rick or Jimmy or the guys. And the T-shirt's just a cool thing. That's a photograph, believe it or not, from like 1996, doing the Victory Lane hat dance, you know, and your big thumbs up and all of that. And Jimmy saw it and loved it. So yeah, he loves picking on me. It's all good.
With just 5 races to go, can anyone stop the 48 from 4 in a row?
All right, what would 4 in a row mean to you, Chad? Can you let yourself think about it?
I don't think I know yet. I don't know what 3 in a row means. I'll be honest with you. And I think to say that you can understand it when you're living it is just not possible. I think you don't understand what's going on until after you become one step removed and reflect. So I'm hoping in 10 years or so I can sit back and relax and really look back on it and realize what we had accomplished. If we get 4 in a row, great. Then we got to get 5.
And when you look at Jimmy Johnson and the 48 team, when they get into this chase, things really heat up. In the 55 chase races, 17 wins, and that is unbelievable. Love him or hate him, Chad Knaus is that brain behind the operation on that pit box, and there's a lot of people that can dedicate their lives to this sport, and there's other people that when they try to dedicate it, things just don't go the way they want to in this career. And I think when you hear from Chad Knaus in that interview, you really hear his passion that he has for this sport. You understand why he is sickly dedicated to this garage area. And if you talk to any other crew guy in this garage area, they'll say the same thing about Chad Knaus. And I think every crew chief, at the most part, has that same mentality, but what they don't have is 3 straight championships, which Chad Knaus is the only crew chief in the garage to have that.
Hey, Wendy, could you possibly get 4 more of those T-shirts? I do an XL.
Yes, we will wear them.
I was hoping you would notice my speed gear for today.
How could we not? I think that's a
We
handsome
had
young
some
man
fun.
on the shirt there.
We had some fun. He was a
And-
good
and a
sport
pretty
about
lady
it,
wear.
so thank you to Chad for that.
Hey, we want to introduce the pride of Emporia, Virginia, and that is Hermie Sadler joining us now on the Home Depot stage. And Hermie, when did it become a bad thing to work hard and kick everybody's butt?
You know, every time I hear somebody talk about Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, you just wonder, why do they boo this guy? We talk about it a lot here because He's a lot like Mark Martin. He beats you, and then he smiles at you. You know, and Chad Canals, I mean, he is bad. I mean, he is the man. He's a bigger star than half the drivers that are suiting up today driving these race cars. I mean, but he's got the results to show it.
And Ken Wallace, there's been many crew chiefs before that have run very hard. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they're thinking about that race car. But there comes a time when a lot of them have to shift gears.
You know, Chad has had great success, and I congratulate him. And it's fun to watch this show, and I'm sitting there watching Chad, and I'm thinking, wow, I just seen this movie a handful of years ago. Who was it? It's Ray Evernham. Chad Canals reminds me of Ray Evernham, but, you know, the success is awesome. And I'm sitting here thinking, boy, if he keeps his pace up, well, there'll be burnout. You look at the past great crew chiefs. You know, you look at Ray Evernham, Robbie Reiser, Jimmy Makar. All the great crew chiefs can only take so much of it. So it's going to be interesting. And I will root Chad Canals on to see if he can keep this pace up for years to come. 9 out of 10 of them go on to either own a team or be a manager, Spence. I tell you what, it's a hard ship he's leading right now.
Well, but I gotta be in defense of the rest of these guys. This team is not the only team that works really hard. I mean, I go through that garage area just because some of these guys aren't getting the recognition they need, but you can't take credit away. I mean, these guys, no, they're not winning championships and they're not winning all the races, but damn it, these guys are working just as hard as the 48 team, sometimes probably harder. But at the end of the day, no, they don't have the results. But don't think, fans, that the rest of these teams aren't working hard either, guys.
One quick note, the one good thing that Chad Canals does also, he surrounds himself with guys that have the same mentality that he's got and are willing to put in the time that he does.
So what is the hardest part of this half mile to get around, and also what is so difficult about the pit lane? We'll talk about that when we take a little track preview of the Martinsville Speedway when we come back.
Getting around NASCAR's oldest track can be difficult. Luckily, we've got the know-how to show you the quickest way to the finish. We'll take you on a ride around the clip and tell you how it's done. Coming at you, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Well, we like to say on every Sunday here on Race Day that you might learn something new, but if you don't learn something new on Race Day, you can go to the Advanced Auto Parts Virtual Cutaway Car and take a look. All you got to do is go to speedtv.com and keyword Virtual Cutaway Car, and you can learn something new about NASCAR's new race car. Now it is time to go down to our real, not virtual cutaway car and the real, not virtual Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, JR. Obviously, this weekend at Martinsville, the shortest track on the circuit. Next week at Talladega, the biggest track on the circuit. We always hear about people asking, what are some of the biggest differences in a setup between Martinsville and Talladega? We'll talk about one of them today. The steering box, the pitman arm, a big driver input key as far as the handling of the race car that will change from this week to next week. Now you come around to our box right here, we've got a 12-to-1 steering box. You can see it stamped right here. What does 12 mean? 12 means the degrees that the driver has to turn the steering wheel to get this pitman on to move 1 degree. So here at Martinsville, as soon as the driver turns the wheel, you want the car to turn right away. Next week at Talladega, this number will go up to a 17.5-to-1 or a 20-to-1. Why? Because you want to have more play in the wheel. The driver should be able to move the wheel around a little bit more at higher speeds at Talladega and not have the car steer or affect the driving of the race car. So it's a driver input thing, but also it's all about this radius of the corner, a 12-to-1 or maybe even a 9-to-1 here at Martinsville, because a tight radius corner, 17.5-to-1 to 20-to-1 next week at Martinsville. A big change we'll see between Martinsville and Talladega next week, JR.
All right, Hermie, it's time now to jump up in the race car and take a few hot laps with the guy who has spent many, many years on this racetrack. We're talking about Mikey Waltrip. Let's go for a ride.
Well, here he is heading down this long straightaway, and as you see all this traffic in front of him, Kenny, what's he got to do here?
He has got to apply brake, and he's got to push on the brake. Listen to this, race fans. 1,000 times in this race, 500 laps, 2 brake pushes a lap, 1,000 times.
And I tell you, look at the concrete. Martinsville's famous for the concrete. It used to be when you went from concrete to asphalt, there was a little dip right there, Jimmy. Jumped over that, but you carry so much more speed off of these corners and into the corners. Brakes will be an issue today.
And listen to this, fans. Listen. Boom. That's how quick he's off the throttle. This, of all racetracks, you're on the throttle the least amount of time at Martinsville. Very You see a tremendous amount of RPMs, but you do not, it is not hard on an engine because you're at that 9,000, 9,200 very quick, and you're over.
Now here is a very key word we will see here today all day long, and that is brakes. You got to go fast here, but you also got to get them slowed down, and that's why the brakes are so important.
The brakes here are so important, and you know what really hurts these guys today? These brake companies are developing brakes constantly. No practice under race conditions. So the thing is what pads are they taking? You know, the speed that they're running in these corners, guys, very, very fast, but it's critical. If we take a pad just a little bit softer, we're going to have a lot more brake. Will it last 500 laps, Hermie?
Yeah, and also the handling of your race car will affect how much brake you use. If your car will roll through the middle of the corner, you don't use as much brake. But look at this heat on this rotor, Kenny.
And the biggest thing about brakes is I have been here before and I had a good handling car. We changed the brake pads and my car started pushing. You have to make sure that the car slows up when you apply brakes. So if you go into the corner, you push on the brake, it has to slow up. And just a tidbit of information, these brake packages here at Martinsville can cost as much as $30,000 to $40,000 to run this race.
And certainly one of the more unique aspects of this unique racetrack is the pit road. A lot of guys have to pit where the racetrack is actually curved.
There's a commitment cone. You see the guy with the flag. He's telling them that the pit road's open. But the radius of this corner is the same as the radius of the track. But these guys, very important to get on pit road and off because, guys, it quickly starts to fill up as they exit, Kenny.
On Friday, when you qualify, that's the first thing. Oh, we're on the pole. We get the first pit selection. That is so big at this track. It's unbelievable.
Well, like you said, there's so many pit boxes that are in a corner. You don't see that every week. And not only just getting your pit stop done, getting back onto the racetrack can be a chore. And it seems like every year somebody makes a mistake on pit road and goes a lap down because the pace car gets around here in a pretty big hurry.
But I must say something positive. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to Martinsville. Back in the old days, race fans, we had 2 pit roads. The leaders got dropped off on the front stretch, and then the guys in the back, they got dropped off on the back stretch. So this is all a good thing. Everybody gets a pit together.
And you know what's really interesting, fans? You're going to notice this today on ABC, but you know what? The pace car is going to be here in first. It's going to take them 38 minutes to get to the back to the 43rd place car. You will not believe how long that line is here at Martinsville.
Hey, and when the caution comes out here, don't leave the set because the pit stop is just as exciting as a race.
And that's a good thing. We get back to green flag action very quickly here. But Kevin Harvick yesterday in the Truck Series race showed just how dangerous it can be if you do something as simple as lose a tire.
Yes, but double file restart's very important. Kevin Harvick got his valve stem cut down there yesterday. Now, I'm going to tell you what, it'd been very easy for Kevin to pull over there and stop, but he didn't. He took it like a man. Give the guy credit for this. Hits pit road, guys. He knows he's going down 2 laps. That's what happens here at Martinsville. There's a simple situation, 2 laps, but you know what? The lucky dog, double fall restarts, he got it back in the top 5 finish.
And what's big with these front end splitters, this new car, that could happen to anybody today. You could rub on somebody and cut their valve stem out just like Kevin Harvick and blow a left rear tire out.
Now, as you saw those brake rotors glow a strange color of red, that was not quite the strange color of red that you see on the Martinsville hot dogs. But it is the color of the brake rotors, and Moody Barker's going to weigh in on brakes when we come back.
And it will be 5 more races before we will have any idea who will we be celebrating the champion come Champions Week in Las Vegas. But right now we're in Martinsville. Tony Stewart 4th in points, 155 points back. It's anyone's game from Tony Stewart on up as we come in to today's race at Martinsville. So we thought we'd catch up with Smoke. You know, there's 4 guys right now that are 1 race away from passing Jimmy Johnson potentially with 155 points back. What do you go into this race, and you and Darian Grubb, with the mentality of what you have to do today?
We just got to go out and do the best we can with our Office Depot Old Spice Chevy, and you know, there's nothing we can do about the guys up front other than just do our job and you know, try to win the races from here on out and hope that they have a little bit of trouble.
Now, we obviously know that Jimmy Johnson's starting right behind you. You're 13th in qualifying. Jimmy Johnson's 15th on that grid. So when we start this race, how do you approach that first half of the race? Do you even pay attention, knowing that all eyes have really been on 48 the last week?
No, in all reality, we just got to worry about ourselves right now and you know, do the best we can. We can't worry about what they're doing because it's out of our control. So you know, we just got to focus on our race car and you know, keeping our balance good all day and trying to get the thing drivable to where you know, at the end of the race, hopefully we got a shot to win this thing, get another grandfather clock.
Grandfather clock would be sweet, I'm sure, for you. You have 2 wins here at Martinsville. What's the key to conserving your brakes? Because we know that's been the tough issue every time we come to Martinsville, having so much speed, especially this fall race.
don't use them too early. I mean, you just gotta manage it. You basically just can't go in the corner and just be mashing on the brake every time you go in and drive it as deep as you can. That's how you burn them up. So you just gotta be conscious that it's a long race and that you're gonna have to take it easy a little bit and conserve.
What about the guys around you and trying to pass these guys? We know how difficult it is to pass here at Martinsville. What goes through your head when you make a move? How long does it take you to get around a guy? And I know every position is going to be different, but what goes through your head when you're trying to get through traffic?
Well, it depends on what point of the race it is. You know, you try to get through without having to beat and bang on them, because you don't want to bend your fenders up and you don't want to make them mad and leaning on them. So you try to get through as clean as you can. But you know, sometimes it's one corner if they're courteous, and sometimes it can take you 10 laps to get by them if they're not using their head. So it's just a matter of you race the situation with each person individually, and you know, hopefully by the time that you get there, hopefully they're struggling a little bit and they'll let you go.
Now, your teammate, Ryan Newman, starting on the pole here at Martinsville, what would it mean to you to get to victory lane as an owner today if Ryan Newman were to do it? I know you have your own agenda, but what would it feel like as an owner?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind running second, you know, if it was to Ryan today for sure. Those guys, Tony Gibson and Ryan and everybody in the U.S. Army, Chevy's done a great job too, so I'm really proud of them for getting the pole, and I got a feeling we're going to be chasing them all day. They're pretty good right now.
All right, and going into these final races of 2009, actually, Tony Stewart has the best stats when we come into these 4 final chase races beyond Jimmy Johnson. And I know, guys, it's tough to believe that, but Tony Stewart is going to be good these final 5 races.
Yeah, Wendy, that is easy to believe that the smoke's going to be good. And you know what? We do have a lot of racing left to go in this season. We're going to talk a little bit later on about just how much more racing we have to go. But right now, we're going to talk about what it takes not only to go fast here at Martinsville, but to slow down. And that's the brakes. Let's check in with Booty Barker for our Napa Good Stuff.
For this week's Napa Good Stuff, we're going to discuss brakes. And I'm not talking about the good brakes you can get at Napa to slow your car down at Martinsville. No, I'm talking about luck, or bad luck. Let's take last week at Charlotte, for example. Jimmy Johnson has some good luck, like he needs it. Casey Kane's leading the race. Jimmy needs a caution, he gets it. He bunches the field back up. He goes on to win the race, get maximum points. Also, Juan Montoya, quarter panel knocks out, spins out. Now, if you look at the competitors' eyes after the race and the interviews, you would think they've conceded defeat to Jimmy Johnson already. They know how well he's run, but anybody can have bad luck or bad brakes in the upcoming future. Take Martinsville, for example. Jimmy Johnson could push his brakes a little too hard, cut the bead off his tire, in the wall. There goes the 90 points. Or he could just get hung up in traffic. Here at Martinsville, anything can happen with the beating and banging. It's one of the reasons why I love it. But really, the ace in the hole the competitors are really waiting for is Talladega, because you can be leading it, you can be in the middle, you can be waiting a lap down 400 yards off and still get caught in the big one. And it comes down just to luck. Will Mark Martin or Juan or Jeff get the good luck and blast right through, or will Jimmy get caught up in it? And that's the break they need. If that's the case, it's all bunched back up and anything can happen. So as it is with any form of racing, we need to stick around to see who gets the good breaks or who gets the bad breaks. It could all determine the championship. And that, my friends, is your Napa Good Stuff.
Yeah, Booty Barker, it's often said it is better to be lucky than to be good, but if you're lucky and good, you can contend for a championship. Let's take a look at who has been good in terms of bonus points. And these guys that are chasing Jimmy Johnson, Spence, they're doing what they can to make their own fate.
They definitely are, and we had a very strange race last week, but yet you didn't see Mark Martin lead, you didn't see some of these guys lead, but yet at the end of the day, they didn't have the luck. And I agree with Booty so much. When you look at that thing, Kenny, and you say to yourself, boy, Jimmy, he's winning, but buddy, he has a lot of luck on his side.
Well, and you know, I can't say that I disagree with that, because some people say you make your own luck. Well, now hold on. But you know one question I got, and I want somebody to figure this out. What is Jimmy Johnson's average finish right now? Is it second or third? He's won 3 races.
Should be a little bit less than
third. Teddy Nicolitis just said Jimmy Johnson's average finish right now in the last 5 races is third. That, my fans, is ridiculous.
Yeah, that tells you how tough it is. A couple years back, Jeff Gordon, remember, he averaged better than a 5th place finish and still lost to teammate Jimmy Johnson. So whose dreams of a title got crushed at Lowe's Motor Speedway at Charlotte? We'll talk about that when NASCAR Race Day rolls on at Martinsville.
With a familiar face leading the chase, do the guys breathing his exhaust fumes think they can catch Jimmy? We'll ask a few contenders if they're feeling lucky. or if another title is the 48's to lose. Heading your way, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Time is running out to enter Camping World's Destination Recreation Sweepstakes. Enter daily to increase your chances of winning. You could be the lucky winner of the David Daybreak Class A motorhome, a Dutchman Freedom Spirit, or a Colorado fifth wheel. Compliments of Camping World. Enter online at campingworld.com/racing, and good luck to everybody. Let's talk about qualifying. And you know, this is somewhat of a mystery to a lot of people. They thought Jimmy Johnson was going to come here and get the pole for 2 weeks in a row, but Jimmy Johnson qualified 15th. He will have a ways to go if he's going to win yet another race here at Martinsville. But how about Kurt Busch, the fifth place chaser right now, qualified 37th. He too will have a long way to go, but Kurt Busch has won at this track starting way back in the past.
Well, this guy last week, all straight top 5 finishes. Not indicative of how well he ran last week. He outside the top 30, but today he's going to start all the way back, 21st. Not a pleasant spot halfway in the middle of the field. But how about this guy? He's always up front. Mark Martin, he didn't have a good day last week either. Finishes 18th, but you know what? He's won here. He will start 4th today. Never count out Mark the Kid. Martin, Kenny.
And I'm going to tell you what, this next guy right here, he's a Jersey boy. His family's from the Jersey Shores. They're all fishermen. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Truex, he's starting third. This is a great qualifying run for Martin Truex. And the next guy, he's a 4-time champion from Vallejo, California. He drives a black SS with a navigation. Jeff Gordon, he starts second.
Who's on the pole?
He's on the pole. We call him the Rocket Man. 45 poles, ties him with Buck Baker from South Bend, Indiana. Ryan the Rocket Newman.
Army, yeah, baby.
Hey,
yeah.
I had fun doing that.
Ryan Newman was Army strong. Let's take a look at how good it is to start up front at this short track, and it's really good. 18 of 121 have been won from the pole. 6 of the last 7, 1 from top 10, including the last 4. And a lot of that has to do with qualifying and your pit selection.
Hey, Jimmy Johnson, 6 of the last 7, top 10. He's 15. Oh, that's interesting, Johnny.
Jimmy Johnson.
It is interesting, but nothing he can't take care of.
Newsflash. Jimmy Johnson qualifies 15th. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my goodness. Now, we had a real nice story going on. A young truck driver from just up the road here in Virginia really got something done. Earlier this year, he was working out of his garage, building his trucks. Timothy Peters, the #1 truck, qualified well and ended up winning the Camping World Truck Series race. You saw it live here on speed. Todd Bodine was second. Colin Brown in the 6th truck was third. But what an emotional, great victory for Timothy Peters. Let's take a look now with 4 races to go.
The party's over.
Oh, it's tough for Matt Crafton, 224 back to principal. Mike Skinner, 323 back. It's going to be tough.
They need a chase.
Jr. Yeah, they should have a chase. Why not?
Yeah, but
and
I'm
double
gonna tell
file
you what,
restarts too.
I don't believe it would matter. Ron Hornaday is on his game this year, baby. He is strolling.
And we got to give a call out to our old buddy Rick Crawford in the #14 truck. He is 10th in points. And next week, Saturday on speed, with only 4 races remaining in the championship fight, the world's toughest trucks hit the high banks of Talladega. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Talladega Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. Now, here is the way you don't want your truck race to go.
Well, yeah, but if you look at this guy, he doesn't know.
Driving a 48.
Yeah, but he's in the 40.
And that's not his age. That's his truck number.
Oh, bull. That ain't Jimmy Johnson. That's Hermie. And Hermie's so dumb, he doesn't realize he's got mirrors in that truck. And he just deliberately wrecked this guy.
You know, we got him wired up.
Hermie Sadler deliberately wrecked that guy. I'm very upset.
You hear that,
Hermie?
Hermie, let me say something. I love you to death.
Don't stick up for him, Kenny.
Hermie,
Jimmy Spencer is the only person that's wrecked 1,000 times. It was never his fault. Next subject.
You're my man, Herman, later.
Hey, Hermie, that was a great, that was a bad thing for you in the truck race, but it was a great thing that you were doing, getting out there. First of all, we like to see you out there. There was no truth to the rumor that you drove the whole race with your right turn signal on, and your race suit fits you perfectly, but it was a great cause that you were working for.
I should have had my flashes on, apparently, but, you know, we had a good truck. We ran good, but, you know, short track racing at Martinsville, that kind of stuff happens. But I'm going to be back. I'm going to run a few more next year, and, you know, if you race long enough, those things are going to happen. But Not one of my better days at Martinsville, no question.
Hermie, who wrecked you? What was that guy's name?
71. I'm not sure what his name is. He doesn't deserve to be called out on TV.
It's just a number. I like that, Hermie.
He's just a number.
I like
Just
it,
a
and,
number.
and you're always racing for a good cause, and you're going to turn it around, baby. You know what?
Appreciate it.
I'm going to be in your pit pulling for you next time.
There you go. I'm going to
Thank
be
you.
in there too. Spencer's going to be the jack man. I'm going to be the guy that holds a drink in. There, how about that? I can do that. Great cause. The proceeds of that race for Hermie went to help the breast cancer research. So great job by those guys and the Virginia Lottery to pitch in. When we come back, we'll have much more from the track they call Big Paperclip at Martinsville.
Well, they're not in the chase. Silly season makes these guys headline news. We'll give you a rundown on drivers to keep an eye on as the off-season approaches. Straight ahead, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
NASCAR racing since 1949. Martinsville is one of NASCAR's original racetracks, nestled in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have an absolutely beautiful day for racing, and the question still remains in this year's chase for the Sprint Cup, can anyone stop the number 48 and Jimmy Johnson? His record speaks for itself in this chase, in the chase history, and also at this racetrack as well. And then Mark Martin is another guy that has a shot at this championship. He finds himself 90 points back of Jimmy Johnson as we enter the halfway point of the chase. But let us not forget one of the other successful drivers on this racetrack with 7 wins. Jeff Gordon has a shot as well as he finds himself 3rd in points. And then there's Tony Stewart, a 2-time winner at this track, hopes to get another one. And another chaser who has won here before is Kurt Busch, one of the more exciting finishes we've ever seen. Kurt Busch was involved in here at Martinsville. Let's take a look at the standings. And as you see how far back certain drivers are, remember that the biggest deficit overcome with 5 races to go in the chase is 146 points. But Jimmy Johnson did it.
Yeah, you're telling me Tony Stewart is done?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Not at all, because he's Tony Stewart.
But history proves that that's hard to
History
overcome.
says it's tough.
Tony Stewart can do it, though. Juan Pablo, man, he dropped a lot just in one race. He was 3rd in the points all the way down to 9th.
Here's a shock to me, though, Kenny. I look at Greg Biffle, Ryan Newman. I look at Carl Edwards. These guys have not won a race this year. Very uncharacteristic. These, Carl Edwards is, what, 8 wins last year? None this year? And Biff? Oh, my God.
So what a difference a year can make, as you saw a lot of winners in that bottom part of the chase. Nonetheless, though, they did make the chase, and they were in championship contention. But for more on the number 48 and what they have to overcome from somewhat of a slow start to the weekend, let's go to Wendy in our Shell Garage Report.
Well, thank you, Johnny. Yes, Jimmy Johnson coming into Martinsville, a 90-point lead. That's the largest lead anyone's had with 5 races to go. Now, whether you're a Jimmy Johnson fan or not, listen to what this stat has. Jimmy Johnson came into this race 90 points back. The most points ever gained on the points leader in one single race was 105 points. It was done here at Martinsville in 2006. However, it was done by Jimmy Johnson. He's the one that gained 105 points. So it is doable when we come to this racetrack, but there's a lot of ground to gain from a lot of these other guys. Now, Jimmy Johnson coming into this has won 5 of the last 6 races at Martinsville. We know he's a shoe, but when you look at his qualifying effort, 15th, that could be considered a poor qualifying effort for Jimmy Johnson. And here is what Jimmy Johnson said on Friday on what he thinks is being sacrificed by a poor qualifying effort.
Pit stall is out the window. I mean, we're going to be kind of in a bad situation there, but I know how good the car is. And there's going to be tests throughout the championship and how we react and how we handle situations, and this is one of them. I mean, I think it speaks to what we've been saying all along, is that this thing is far from over, and we've got to go out there and earn it. And we didn't do the best job today, but we're going to have to do a really good job on Sunday to make up for it.
And starting from 15th, Jimmy Johnson will have his work cut out for him, even on pit road right here in pit stall number 26. Of course, you pick by the way you qualified. Jimmy Johnson picked pit stall 26, I should say. Crew Chief Chad Knaus picked pit stall 26. Not the greatest pit stall you want here at Martinsville. And the reason they qualified so poorly, they were focused on race runs. They ran 72 laps in practice this weekend. That was more than any other chase driver. They were focused on the long distance race for today, not necessarily qualifying. And for more on the rest of the guys chasing Jimmy Johnson, let's head over to Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Wendy. And Jimmy Johnson will need to be good on those long runs, because starting 15th at this racetrack, if all goes well, it'll take him 300 laps to get to the front but I think Jimmy can do that. He'll be in contention today. But all the other guys in the chase that are chasing Jimmy Johnson for this championship, of course, they keep their eye on him every lap on the racetrack. But what's different than that, everywhere they go, every time they get asked a question, the question they get asked is about Jimmy Johnson. Earlier this week, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, and Kurt Busch were all asked about Jimmy Johnson. Here's what they had to say.
I'm going to race him for it. I ain't give up, not one bit. I'm going to race him for it. It might make for good riding, but if I go out there and get ugly here Sunday,
I'm not meaning ugly.
If I get ugly here Sunday, then it might cost me that championship. Mike, now be smart about it. I know it sounds all cool and drama, but you know what I need to do is racing for it, and I'm racing with everything I've got.
I will say the next 5 races we're going to be extremely aggressive. You know, we've worked our way up to 3rd in points. You know, they've got a pretty comfortable lead, and how they race, you know, versus how we race is probably going to be a little bit different, you know, and I think that's the one advantage that we have right now is that you know, we're far enough back to where we don't have really a whole lot to lose, and it's sort of their championship to lose.
These next 2 races, though, are really the ones where anything can jump up and bite you at any given moment. Talladega's a bit more unpredictable, but he's definitely going to be tough to beat. But I read somewhere that it's a foregone conclusion, and I about lost it. I thought that was cute.
Definitely not a foregone conclusion, but what the 48 car does, you heard Jeff Gordon say, we don't have anything to lose. We can take chances. That's what Jimmy Johnson makes you do. These guys cannot beat the 48 car straight up. They've got to go outside the box and do pit strategies different than the 48 does to try to catch him back in traffic and beat him. He puts a lot of pressure on the other teams, JR.
Hermie, thanks a lot. Here's another reason why we should not engrave the trophy to Jimmy Johnson just yet. There is a lot of racing left to go. Today at Martinsville, we got 500 laps, 250 miles, and then from there, in the second half of this chase, there are more miles to be logged, Kenny Wallace, than in the first lap.
And
the first half.
And at any time, anything can happen with these motors. But one thing I want to point out, that the guy that was talking about him, Mark Martin, and the other guy, Jeff Gordon, his teammates, it's really odd to hear his own teammates say, I'm going to race him in a little bit differently here these last 5 races.
And a lot of times when you look at this, you say to yourself, can he be beat? Yes, he can, because there's so many cars on the lead lap at the end of these races. You can see a guy have a part failure with 1 lap to go, with 5 laps to go. He ends up 25th, 28th, 35th. It's possible. The thing is what I like about what Chad Knaus said on Monday. People say that engrave the trophy, it's over. Guys, there is a tremendous amount of racing left. And like you said, Johnny, next week is definitely a curveball. But Texas, 500 hard miles, and then we go to Miami, 400 miles, and then Phoenix. Anything can happen at Phoenix. So to me, yes, he's got a lead, but it ain't over.
All right, certainly not over by a long shot, and if you're not in the chase, what you tend to do is start planning towards the future. Some futures look very bright, like Joey Logano fans. Their future looks very bright, but for some drivers, we're going to tell you who's going where and who may end up in what car next year. Now, race fans may think that silly season is every day at Kenny Wallace's house.
Yes.
But what silly season is when people start speculating about what driver will end up where and what driver's wares will end up in what souvenir rig. It used to start about October. Now it starts in Daytona, and sometimes all year long is silly season.
At the start of the 2009 season, Gillette Evernham and Petty Enterprises combined efforts and became a 4-car team with Casey Kane leading the charge.
We appreciate you all coming out and letting the world know that we're still in the racing business, and we've joined up, and we're going to be bigger and better than we've ever been.
Elliott Sadler, Reed Sorensen, and A.J. Allmendinger rounded out the rest of the stable at the new Richard Petty Motorsports.
Casey Kane gets Richard Petty Motorsports to victory lane.
Richard Childress Racing took on a 4th team, giving Clint Boyer the new number 33 and having new addition Casey Mears drive the 07.
A very good run by the 07 car of Casey Mears.
Ryan Newman's vacancy at Penske Racing freed up the number 12 Dodge for David Stremme, while Martin Truex Jr. was still firmly in the number 1 car, and former champ Bobby Labonte found a home at Yates Racing.
I'm still pinching myself because this is a great opportunity.
But opportunities are short-lived, and things get silly as the season wears on. On September 10th, Richard Petty Motorsports announced a merger with Yates Racing and a switch to Ford for the 2010 season. 6 teams would become 4, leaving 2 full-time drivers, Reed Sorensen and Bobby Labonte, in search of a ride. NASCAR's limiting of owners to 4 teams starting next season means Roush Fenway will need to drop a team. With Yates Racing joining Petty, any hopes of adding the 26 car to the Yates Racing team was dashed, making Jamie McMurray odd man out.
Be smooth. Long way to go.
RCR is losing a major sponsor, and unless one is secured by season's end, they could once again be a 3-car team. With journeyman Casey Mears out.
You know, it's tough for sponsorship right now, but we do have interest in it. We're wanting to run it. We can't turn it into a park and start.
In racing, I don't think you ever feel permanent. You know, I think you're only as good as your last race.
3, 2, 1. Wheel straight, foot on the brake.
At Penske, David Stremme will be out of the number 12 Dodge in order to make room for this spring's Talladega winner, Brad Keselowski.
For the first time in his NASCAR Sprint Cup career, Brad Keselowski is in victory lane here at Talladega.
And Martin Truex Jr. will be leaving Earnhardt Ganassi Racing and the number 1 car for Michael Waltrip Racing. The One is one of the few full-time rides available for a slew of drivers eager to hop in the cockpit.
Well, they say nationwide the unemployment rate is about 10%. It's a lot less than that among Sprint Cup drivers. Bobby Labonte, Jamie McMurray, Casey Mears, Reed Sorensen, David Stremme, among the drivers that have that are looking for rides in 2010. On that list, Bobby Labonte is a multi-time winner and a past champion. Jamie McMurray has won before. Are there rides for these guys? Are there good rides for these guys? Where might they land?
No. Here, you're right, Spence. There is no rides. And race fan, let's be very clear about it. There are no rides left. What's happening, it's a different deal now. There's a lot more drivers than there is car. So what happens, you got 3 teams going away, and the 07's looking for a sponsorship. And they're kind of saying, look, you know, we don't have anything for the 07 either. So there are no teams for drivers to drive. It's that simple. Nobody's getting fired. These teams are going away.
What about the One, Kenny Wallace, the One car?
Well,
Earnhardt Ganassi.
Well,
possibility?
From what I hear, you know, Jamie McMurray might be driving that car. People are fighting for that ride, but that's the only car I know of.
And you also could, I've talked to James Finch this week. He plans on running a limited schedule next year full-time instead of starting park. But the thing is that I wouldn't hire any of these guys. They haven't proved anything to me lately. Why would you want to hire McMurray? Why would you want to hire Reed Sorensen? You know, David Stremme, no top 10s this year. These guys
won?
In the past, he has not shown anything at all to me this year at all. And I believe that he's not going to get a ride next year, even if there was rides available. You look at Penske, you look at Joe Gibbs. Why did Joe Gibbs move Joey Logano way quicker than he was supposed to? The potential's there. I think you see the same potential with Keselowski being moved up. You're going to see this sport, these guys, they're going to be gone from this sport. And I'm going to tell you some other guys. Elliott Sadler better pick it up. Go down the list of these guys. They better step up their programs. The car owners are tired of hearing their complaints. They're looking outside the sport. You're going to see a lot more Keselowskis and Logano's come in quicker than the veteran drivers.
Well, we say it every weekend, and it bears repeating that if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. It's not easy to compete out there, and only 43 drivers get to do it on any given Saturday night or Sunday. Let's now go to Wendy Venturini. And Wendy, it's probably safe to say that with Richard Childress Racing, silly season is in full swing right now.
It sure has hit RCR this week. The announcement was made of some crew chief swapping that will take place after this week's race at Martinsville when we head to Talladega, and that includes Scott Miller, who we knew back in September was going to go into a full-time position as the director of competition at RCR, will be stepping away from that crew chief role. Todd Berrier will step into that position for the 31, which leaves an opening for the 07 of Casey Mears and his crew chief, which is currently held by Todd Berrier. Well, who's being brought in? It's going to be Doug Randolph taking over for Casey Mears. And I think the position of this is that it's October. We're getting down to the final races of 2009, and this is a jump ahead to next year, exactly what they want to do at RCR. And we'll hear from Richard Childress on Monday. I go to sit down with him for the real deal. We'll hear more about this situation and much more in next week's show at Talladega. And for more on silly season, Hermie, there's a lot going on with that 07. A lot of talk in the garage area right now with Casey Mears.
It really is, Wendy, and I had a chance to talk to Casey here at the racetrack on Friday during one of our NASCAR live shows, and we went off the air. I said, Casey, what's going on with the crew chief situation? I could just tell he wasn't happy. He said, Hermie, nothing against Doug Randolph. We're going to do good together. He says, but we over the last 5 races have been the most consistent RCR car, finally headed in the right direction. Then I found out this morning that I'm going to lose my crew chief and get another crew chief. And he said, what people seem to forget, if I'm Casey Mears, what he wants people to know is, hey, I've only got 5 races left in this 07. We're not going to win a championship, but I've only got 5 more races to show people, like Jimmy Spencer said, I've got 5 more races to show people that I belong in the Sprint Cup Series, and I don't need a lot of changes around me to distract that. So he's upset that they're kind of giving up on his season to look ahead when he's only got 5 more races left to get it done in this car.
Hermie, thanks a lot. We appreciate that update on the 07 team. Now, Jimmy, let me ask you one more thing. When we talk about these drivers that are looking for a ride, Elliott Sadler, the pride of Emporia, Virginia, by the way, 3-time winner in the Cup Series on different types of racetracks. Short track at Bristol, Texas, California. Why aren't you going to put him in a car? I'd put him in a car.
As you watch, Casey Kane excels and wins races. He's running 25th on back. McMurray, my God, he loses laps, and they're just not running well. Get back to Casey Mears. This guy shows a lot of potential. I think the problem at Childress's organization is they're basing their input. All at once we see this guy, Scott Miller. Man, who is this guy? Oh, he wins races. He contended for the championship last year, and all at once Jeff Burton says, this guy ain't no damn good no more, get rid of him. Hang on a minute, guys. Get a direction. Childress's organization is totally disorganized.
Wasn't that part of their direction, though, to put Scott Miller as director of competition so he can get a hold over the whole thing?
No. Scott Miller and that organization was running strong. Think back, they were contending for the championship
this time last year.
They don't even have anything at all. They're all down on Harvick. You know one thing about Harvick? That son of a bee will drive the wheels off. Get your organization fixed. Base it off of Hendrick. Base it off of the Roush. Roush is struggling right now, but Roush's camp will come back strong. He isn't selling anybody short. They're working hard. I think Childress is looking for answers, and he's not finding them.
And one thing that I heard this morning on Sirius Radio from Todd Berry was that he pretty much said, look, we have to make this change. Todd Berry said, I don't like giving up being the crew chief for Casey Mears. Casey Mears right now, the strongest car at RCR. Hope that's not a shock for you, but the last 5 races, Casey Mears is a deserving driver. So Todd Berry said, look, it looks like it's late in the year. Doesn't look like we're going to get a sponsor, so we got to start putting all our effort onto the other cars. So it looks like the 07 is like, well, we don't got a sponsor. We're just going to finish the year out with the 07. I know that's not totally true, but that's what I heard.
And history has shown us that sometimes drivers can go through down years and can come back with different organizations to make some history of their own as they come back and win once again.
Mark Martin.
Yep, Mark Martin, perfect example. Jeff Burton, RCR, perfect example. Now, as we go to break here, we want to tell you that coming up tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, you do not want to miss David Spread on assignment in Talladega, the history of that racetrack, including the incredible first race ever. Don't miss it. As we get ready for race number 6 in the 2009 chase for the Sprint Cup Championship, the color of the sky is blue with a little bit of white here and there, but no rain in the forecast, and we have some colorful fans out from all up and down the East Coast. But for the most colorful fan for M&M's, let's go to Rutledge Wood.
So for this week's Most Colorful Fan, we got something entirely different. We're out here by the fans where they all stand and hang out waiting for the drivers to come by. And look at this. You got Joey Logano on one side, Jeff Burton on the other. This is the place to be. Everybody's getting their stuff signed. So this week and all new, these our friends right here are the Most Colorful Fans. I wish you were here with us. Jeff, I love you. Big fan.
We love you too, Rutledge. We're big fans as well. Make sure to visit NASCAR.com/mostcolorfulfan to see the photo finalists and check out all of the colorful fan photos submitted throughout the season. Now, here is the question. What are some of the other chasers chasing Jimmy Johnson saying about their chase chances? We'll talk to them as we get Wendy and Hermie down on the grid for the lightning round or the power hour, whatever you want to call it. We'll get you there.
As much fun as our stage is, we'd rather hear from the guys who are front and center. We'll send our 2 crack reporters to scope the scene and deal the dish. Hermie and Wendy serve up the cues while the men behind the wheel dole out the A's. Around the turn, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
There is the eye. There's the prize that everybody has their eyes on right now. Jimmy Johnson's won 3 in a row, and he's going for an unprecedented 4th. But this weekend, a little bit of personal history was made by Ryan Newman, and it was a special bit of history. He got his 45th career pole, and that tied Buck Baker. What's so special about that? Well, Buddy Baker was one of Ryan Newman's mentors throughout his career, so that was a special thing for the Newman family as well as the Baker family. Now let's go to one of the members of the famous Venturini family, and that is Wendy.
I don't know about all that, but thanks, Johnny. And of course, Ryan Newman starting from that top spot here in Martinsville. We know how important track position is to start in this race. Congratulations on the pole, and a great way to start off when we go green flag racing to get that track position. You're already a step ahead of everyone.
Well, we're a step ahead, and we'd like to keep it. There's no guarantees in racing, and just because you have it to start doesn't mean you're going to have it at the end. And we have a good U.S. Army Chevrolet, and I'm kind of happy that we didn't have practice yesterday because we put some time in race trim, and the car felt pretty good. So we'll see how the first 50 go and go from there.
Been in this chase before 2 other times. How is this chase for you? You're right now 8th in points. I know you have some ground to make up, but how is this specific chase in 2009 different for you?
It's more competitive, I can tell you that for sure. What Jimmy and Mark and those guys are doing up front there is, astounding compared to what you used to see in the chase. The average finishes and things like that are a lot different. So, in general, it's good to be back in it. It's much more gratifying this year after making it for a few years, but to have the U.S. Army Chevrolet in it right now, it's just a good thing for us in our season, our first season together.
All right, we all call you the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, for being on that pole. What does it feel like to tie Buck Baker's record, knowing your relationship with Buddy?
Well, it's special. I know Buddy thinks of me as family, and to tie his dad for a record is a big thing in anybody's resume. But it's a mile mark, I guess, for me. But really trying to just keep doing it and break that tie and go on. To chase Mark Martin all year for some reason.
Well, I know today is going to be a big question answered with these double file restarts. 15 laps to go, you're out front. What do you take? Do you take the inside lane, the outside lane? What do you prefer right now?
I think Martinsville, you always like to have the inside lane. It's one of the places that when you restarted the old style way, it kind of was a disadvantage to be on the lead lap at times, to be on the outside, because you could get freight trained by the cars that were better later in the race that were a lap down. So we'll see, but I think that racing is going to be right around the curve for the most part.
And there definitely will be some beating and banging. I have to add that to Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman in this chase for 2009. Hermie Sadler is with another guy right outside that chase in 13th.
Yeah, I got Matt Kenseth, Wendy, and Ryan Newman says he's up front. He's glad there was no practice at the racetrack yesterday. You got to start a little bit further back to pass some cars. Did you have enough time on Friday to see what you had in that 17 car?
Yeah, but hopefully we fixed it since then. So it wasn't very good on Friday, but I could use all the practice I could get here. Been coming here for a long time, and it's certainly been one of my worst tracks, or one of the tracks I struggle the most at. So the more practice we can usually get here, the better. So Chip and Drew and them guys changed a lot of stuff for today, and hopefully it'll start off okay. We got a long ways to go.
I'm sure they've told you it's going to be okay whether or not it is, correct?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Talk a little bit about Roush Fenway. A lot of story this year. I mean, last year, all of you guys were in contention to win races week after week after week, and we've seen this business over the years run in cycles where you're on top of it for a while and then you get behind it a little bit. Where do you see the most improvement you guys need to make to get back in the thick of things for 2010?
Yeah, I mean, most of the year's been a struggle, a lot more than we wish it would. I think we need to improve everywhere to be competitive enough to feel like we can try to contend for championships and do like what the Hendrick cars and everything are doing. But our biggest struggle has probably been short tracks, Richmond and here and Phoenix and Loudon and places like that has probably been our biggest struggle, but certainly there's room for improvement everywhere.
This is the first year you haven't been in the chase as far as fighting for the championship, but you got a front row seat for everything that's going on. 5 races to go. Is there anybody, in that top 5 that can put enough pressure on Jimmy Johnson to make him make a mistake and make a race out of this thing?
I haven't seen him make many mistakes in however many years he's been around. But man, it's every Nextel Cup race or Sprint Cup race is super exciting, and it's cool to be part of all these events. I certainly wish we were in the chase and we were running better where we were a serious contender, but certainly at 48 looks like they have everybody right where they want them, but a lot of things can happen. There's a lot of racing left to do.
A lot of racing left to go. 5 to go. 500 exciting laps today. Watch for Matt Kenseth try to make his way to the front from 32nd starting spot. JR?
Hermie, thanks a lot. You know, we focus so much on the top 12 because those are the chasers right now. But let's take a look at 13th through 20th right now. This is sort of like the racing equivalent to college basketball's NIT, but still, nonetheless, a lot of bragging rights here.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, fans, think about this. Here's Matt Kent, the Daytona 500 winner, comes back, wins California. Kyle Busch, Kenny, all the wins he's got. Clint Boyer, so close. These guys still got a lot to brag about. They're fighting for these top 13 to be 13.
And when you go down to the 19th position, just to think that Jeff Burton was locked inside the top 12, and all of a sudden everything just went bad. It was when the double file restarts happened. He started wrecking when the double file restarts happened.
And I look at 16th and 17th. It's obvious why Michael Waltrip's leaving. There's his 2 cars. Marcus Ambrose, what a great job he's doing. David Ruderman winning the Coca-Cola 600. Yeah, it was in the rain, but you know what? He's still running good, and he's been running good. So Michael's making the right decision, putting somebody in that car to get the 55 car up there next year to compete. I'm not the 55.
56 now.
56. One better than
Martin
55.
Truex.
Yes, with the 55 also running some races out there too. So Michael Waltrip will
big improvement.
Yes, Michael Waltrip will be driving some for us next year, but we'll just hopefully see him a lot on TV as well. And also we want to remind you that today when it comes to TV, the Tums Fast Relief 500 is chase race number 6 is at Martinsville Speedway. It's today at 1 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. We showed you earlier some of the finishes we've seen here at Martinsville, so be sure you tune in because these race fans here in Virginia know what it's all about, and it's about short track racing today, and you can catch it on ABC. Stick around, everybody. Much more race day coming your way on Speed. Welcome once again, race fans, to the Martinsville Speedway NASCAR racing since 1949, and we got you covered all weekend long on Speed. The tight corners and the drag strips of Martinsville will put man and machine to the test today, and if there is a wild card in the chase, this could perhaps be it, as we will see beating and banging and danger around every turn over the course of 500 laps here at Martinsville. Mark Martin qualified 4th, and he will be up there with Hendrick teammate Jeff Gordon as he will start 2nd, but they're both continually chasing Hendrick teammate Jimmy Johnson, who is going for an unprecedented 4th championship in a row in NASCAR's Top Series. The 48 team has earned 3 wins in the chase and have scored checkers here at Martinsville in 5 of the last 6 races. Let's look at the top contenders in the chase so far this year at the halfway point, and we remind you that there are 17 wins among the top 4 drivers in point standings as we come into Martinsville with 5 to go.
Yeah, and as we look down this list, we saw Juan Pablo struggle last week, but look down here, Kenny. Denny Hamlin, 2 bad races in a row. He's outside the top 10. He will not be on the stage as of now, but I think it'll change after today.
And you know what, Jimmy, you're right. The banquet this year is going to be held in Vegas. It's going to be a big deal. We remind the fans at this time every year that only 10 drivers get on the stage and get to be seen on TV. So the other 2 drivers, 11th to 12th, are left out. So that's a big race for the 10th spot.
There is still a lot to fight for out on the racetrack for the rest of this season, but for Jimmy Johnson, it's confidence in his team, and also it's a matter of who else is confident in the number 48.
Other people seem more confident in our abilities than I do at times, and it makes me laugh inside when I see that at times. But you know, you just never know. We're out there doing all we can each week, and I pick that up from time to time from the guys, but in the end, I'm really just trying to focus on doing my job and not spend time worrying about what other people are thinking about, because as I'm worrying about what other people are thinking about, I'm not worrying about my race car. At the end of the day, I need to keep my blinders on and stay focused on my job.
And here's why people are confident in the number 48, Jimmy Johnson. The 2009 chase, 3 wins, 2 poles, and he's led 556 laps.
He's also so focused, fans, he forgot to shave.
That's all right, doesn't matter.
Hey,
No
let me tell you
aerodynamics
something.
there.
5 races, and he's won 3. I mean, it cannot get any better than that. I think the other one, he finished 9th.
And you know, he said it, Kenny. He puts his blinders on, he focuses. I think the biggest advantage that Jimmy Johnson has over everybody else in the field is his willingness, his temperament, his ability to focus, and that's the key.
You know, we read so much stuff throughout the course of the week in newspapers and websites and everything. We can't really tell you who wrote this, but it was something that caught our eye throughout the week. Somebody wrote that Jimmy Johnson having these chase races be what decides a championship is the equivalent of giving somebody home field advantage throughout any other playoff. And you know what? It's not really necessarily, I don't think, a home field advantage for Jimmy, because look at who else runs great at Martinsville, Talladega, you know, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Mark Martin. These guys are all great at
And the reason that article, that topic was brought up was because Jimmy Johnson, Chad Canal said, hey, look, we like it that they put some of these races into the chase, like California. You know, California was not in the chase. You know, so these are racetracks that favor Jimmy Johnson, and they are the ones that said it, so now everybody's talking about it.
So now everybody wants to know what Chad Knaus's strategy is. He's not going to give up everything, but he will give up a little bit of information in the Sunoco Pit Strategy of the Week.
You need brakes, you need horsepower, you need a lot of gear to get around this racetrack, but the thing you need the most of is a lot of patience. And that goes for everybody here at the racetrack. The driver's got to be patient, the spotter, the pit crew, and most importantly, the crew chief, because he's got to make some serious calls here. At this racetrack, you can go about 130, maybe 135 laps on a Sunoco fuel run, but the thing you have to realize is you're going to get a caution about every 30 laps around this racetrack. What that means is you're going to have a lot of guys that try to stay out to maintain track position, while some of the other guys are going to come down pit road and get 4 fresh tires and a full load of fuel. When your time comes around to pit next time, that means those guys are going to come down and pit, and you're going to stay out. It's going to be a mess, and it's going to be difficult for the fans to keep up with, but I can promise you, the fastest car will be up front the majority of the day today. Tires do make a difference, so if you do get shuffled back to the back, you can pass some guys here. It is going to be a very exciting race, so sit back, relax, and enjoy it.
Chad, thanks a lot. It certainly is enjoyable. You know, Wendy Venturini is going for an unprecedented 3rd consecutive fantasy pick championship on NASCAR race day, but her bid is not as strong as Jimmy Johnson's championship bid. We'll explain when we come back.
Next week, we head to the track with the season's most memorable finish, and where last year's chase ended for a few poor souls. Can anyone close the gap on the 48 at a place just waiting to wreak havoc? Live from Talladega, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Well, you think the standings in the Sprint Cup chase are important. What about the race day fantasy pick standings? Big shakeups going on here, especially one car who is their driver, whatever prognosticator that is on the move big time. I'm not going to really mention who that is, but got Kenna Wallace, Johnny TV, Hermie Wendell, and Senior Excitement pulling up the rear, and that means we start out with Kenna Wallace. Who's going to do it, Kenny?
Well, you know, I really don't even understand why they're running the race today, because everybody knows that Jeff Gordon in his black SS with the navigation Mama Ia. Jeff Gordon will win the race today. And oh my gosh, this guy's in 2nd place. Johnny TV, who's your pick?
Well, you know, Jeff Gordon, very good pick, got a great track record here, but over the past couple years, no one's run better at this racetrack consistently than the pride of Chesterfield, Virginia. And we are in Virginia, by the way, so we have to support somebody from the Commonwealth. It is Denny Hamlin, number 11. He will deliver. Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, JR. Now, your fans at home have to understand that JR and Kenny, neither one can pick Jimmy Johnson because they've already won with him. I guess you think I'm going to pick Jimmy Johnson today. No, sir. I'm picking Kevin Harvick. He has a lot to prove. RCR trying to turn it around. I'm going to save Jimmy Johnson for later on. So that opens the door for you, Miss Wendy Venturini.
Well, thanks, Hermie. Do I go with the big red truck, or the big red truck? Well, I picked Mark Martin last week, 17th at Charlotte. I picked Jimmy Johnson, who didn't even have a top 5 at California. Kansas for Denny Hamlin had a terrible finish, but I'm going with the big red truck again today, Jimmy Johnson. I think he's going to get the job done, and I'm going to continue with my bouncy ball because I think it's making everyone in the garage very happy today. I'll bring a new toy rest of the season. Every week I'm bringing a toy on race day. Jimmy?
Well, I like Wendy, and I'm not going to pass her today, so I'm picking the 7 car.
Hey.
What?
We're picking the winner, not the first caution, Jimmy Spencer.
Yeah, but there's reasoning behind everything I pick. I like this new crew chief. He works on speed. He is my buddy. His name is Doug Reichert. He has puppies, him and his wife, a lot of puppies. And the end result is he's going to help Robbie Gordon. The 7 car's going to run well today, Johnny.
They will run very well today. It's going to be Doug who spearheads the effort. We're glad to see he's back on top of Pitbox. When we come back, we're going to get you down where it's all happening right now, down to driver introductions where Wendy and Hermie will get you the real stuff going on.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. Visit HomeDepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And brought to you in part by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at Bank of America Banking Center.
North Carolina, Martinsville, Tums Fast Relief, 2 hands on the wheel. They're all racing for a championship, going round and round on a paper clip. Now Jimmy Johnson, he's a NASCAR idol, got his sights set on one more time. If you're back in the pack, ready to make your move, you better go now. Get in your groove. Hey, hey, it's race day. Stars and stripes and high octane. Hallelujah, bow your heads and pray. RVs, crew chiefs, every fan upon your seat. I love it when I see that flag wave. Bring on, it's race day.
It is race day in Martinsville, Virginia, and we got 2 drag strips and a couple of U-turns. One of the toughest tracks, but one of the oldest tracks on the circuit. We got beaten and banging here since 1949, one of NASCAR's original racetracks, and the only short track stop on the series in the chase.
You're seeing a lot of brake lockup. Why are the rear brakes locking up? The front brakes start to overpower. But you know what, Kenny? We haven't talked about this guy. He's starting 12th today, the 88 car. And you know, think about back when he had a rear end problem here leading the race. He is the type of driver. His dad loved this track, and I think Junior does. And I'm going to tell you something. He knows how to save brakes. His luck is finally going to start going in his favor. He'll run good today.
Yeah, I hope Junior does run good because everybody's been rooting him on. And last week, Dale Jr. said, I'm at the end of my rope. But one thing I got to tell you, me and Spence have run a lot of races here. There's only one way not to wreck. When you're sitting there running, you're at lap 250, you look up, you see some guy catch you, and his eyeballs are this big, let him go. If you don't let him go, he's going to get impatient and hit you in the left rear, JR. He's going to spin you out. You got to finish the race. To finish first, you must first finish.
And this is Dale Jr.'s 20th start at this racetrack. No wins so far. Let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, I got Casey Mears, and Casey just walked up, said he's been watching our show today, and you've been in the news a lot this week, but I guess the bottom line is all you can do now is run up front and try to win this race today at Martinsville. How's your car?
It's good. You know, I'm really looking forward to it. Jack Daniels Chevrolet's fast. You know, been having a lot of fun here the last couple of years at Martinsville, just finally learning how to drive this track. I know I've been here for 7 years, but it seems like the last 3 or 4 I've finally learned how to drive this place, and it makes it a lot of fun. I mean, this is a great place to drive. I'm looking forward to seeing what the double file restarts are going to bring to us here and how to approach that. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. It should be a good day.
What's the key to passing cars here? We talk about track position a lot, but really difficult to pass cars. What have you got to have in your race car to be able to make passes?
Well, just that, a good race car. You know, I mean, anytime I've been here and had a good race car, it seems like it's really easy to pass. And when you have a mediocre car, it's very difficult to pass. So the biggest thing is just having a car that can turn just that much better than someone else and just get underneath them. And then after that, being able to get into the throttle hard. And typically here, if your car turns well, your forward bite's going to be pretty good because you're straight up off the corner. So hopefully we have that today, and we'll be able to, you know, maintain where we're at and maybe move forward a little bit. And if we can be inside that top 10, top 5 at the end and have a shot at it, we'll be pretty happy.
Casey Mears got a top 10 starting spot, looking to turn that into a good, solid finish. Wendy?
Well, thanks, Hermie. And driver intros is just starting to get on their way. All the drivers are making their way here. Bobby Labonte is one of them. Quick chat with Bobby Labonte. Bobby, what do you expect out of today's race? Because we know it's conservation of brakes and getting through that field, the track position right now for you.
Yeah, it really is. And fortunately, we had a good qualifying effort in our DLP Ford Fusion. And you know, we can take that to our advantage. We've got a mandatory stop at lap 50 and, you know, just got to save the brakes, save the fenders on the car. And, you know, the double file restarts are really going to be an issue probably later on in the race because there's probably going to be a lot of caution flags towards the end. So that'll always play into it and, you know, just try to get a good finish out of it.
All right, good luck to Bobby Labonte. Hermie?
Yeah, catching up with Kyle Busch, the driver intros. Not your best qualifying effort, but you guys seem to be able to get it done at a place like Martinsville. How's your car?
I'm not sure. We, you know, we started Friday and we were working in race trim. The car wasn't bad, but just didn't really have much speed. You know, it wouldn't really go fast. So we'll see what happens here today. We got a long day. We start real far back, so we've got to bide our time and try to get through traffic a little bit here in the beginning so we don't go a lap down, but the competition caution should help us out here at lap 50.
How about these double file restarts? We talk about them every week, but could be pretty exciting today. We saw in the truck race yesterday a lot of tire problems, a lot of contact on these restarts at this racetrack.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be that way. You know, the way the splitters are and everything, it's easy to dig it into somebody's left rear tire. So it'll be tricky, you know, but maybe the guys on the inside might have an advantage.
We'll see what happens. Kyle Busch will be making his way to the front. Wendy?
No. And Juan Pablo Montoya is in the driver intros. I know everybody's trying to get pumped up for this race, and it's really kind of empty down here right now. All the drivers are just now starting to make their way. Seems like the anticipation is just now tending to build up on NASCAR race day, because by now, usually the guys are on the stage or whatnot, but really, things are kind of slow right now, and it's a good feeling, though, here at Martinsville. Let's head back over to Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, catching up with Martin Truex. Good qualifying run. Can you turn that into a win here today?
Well, I hope so. We've had some good qualifying runs throughout the year. We had a good run last week at Charlotte, so I was excited about that. And we'll see what we can do today. Car's been pretty good all weekend. Of course, we didn't get much practice and made some changes for the race, but looking forward to it. And I think it'll be a good day for us.
I was going to ask you that. A lot of teams, how do you decide what you need to do to your race car and make changes? And when you didn't get a lot of time on the racetrack Friday and none yesterday, how do you go about making those changes with your crew chief?
Well, I got a good feel for what I had on Friday, and just you got to, make changes based on that and hope that, they work out. A lot of times with these cars, you'll change things throughout practice to try to fix your problems, and you don't do the right things. So to think we're going to do it the right thing today is being a little optimistic, but we're going to try our best, and hopefully the things we did will work, and we'll have a great day.
Yes, Martin Truex, he is starting from the top 5 starting spot. Loves this racetrack. He'll try to turn that into a win today. And I think Wendy maybe has caught up with Mark Martin.
Hey guys, yes, we're right here, right on the other side. It's such a tight space here at Martinsville, even on the driver intro stage. Mark Martin making his way down here. Now you have some ground to make up today, but I'm very confident you have the car to do it.
We have a great race car. We're just, we go out here and race every one of them like we have all year. And we see how it stacks up. This race team's done an incredible job, this year. And the car was pretty good. And, everybody's a little iffy because they only spent, 40 minutes or so in race trim. But these guys give me great race cars. It's going to be a fun race.
I know the speed has been very high from what we've seen in the past here at Martinsville, a little bit faster going into the corners here. How concerned are the drivers with these brakes?
Well, I always am because, the brakes are better than they ever were now, but, they're still vulnerable. And, if you burn them, you're done. So, you've got to race, you've got to race hard, and you've got to use a lot of brake. But, I've raced here and raced hard and used a lot of brake before, and I had a few times where we burned them up. And if you do that, your race is really done. So you just have to go out here and do what you do. We had a good run here the first race. Hopefully we'll have an even better car this time.
All right, good luck to Mark Martin, who starts 4th. Now things are heating up, Hermie.
Yeah, well, I want to get with Kevin Harvick. I picked you today. I'm 3rd in points. I need a win as bad as you do. Can you get it done for me?
Well, our shell Pennzoil Chevy was good for the 20 laps that we ran in race trim. So, hopefully it's the same way today, and we'll just have to see where it goes on a long run and go from there.
These guys are getting ready to get it done. 500 laps here, a lot of fun. Kevin Harvick, I'm hoping that 29 car goes to victory lane, JR.
Now, Hermie, all 5 races left in this chase can be considered wild cards, but perhaps with the history of the finishes at this racetrack, double file restarts and a little bit of tire trouble maybe along the way, maybe not, this could be the wildest.
What's going to be interesting today, fans, a mandatory pit stop on the lap 50. 2 tires, 4 tires, Kenny, going to be pretty interesting.
And which one of these championship racers in contention, which one will wreck? Stay tuned, victory lane tonight, and check it out.
This is the last short track shootout of the year and the only one in the chase. Brings us to Martinsville Speedway, one of the most historic tracks on the NASCAR circuit and a place for somebody to make their own personal history today. Be sure to join us tonight at 8 on Speed for Victory Lane. Thanks for coming along for the ride. We'll see you tonight.